Hey there, class. Faisal here for your class for what is it? The 17th of July, as we come towards the end of our first week here. Right, this is the end actually, or second week rather. So the big thing you all should hopefully be working on and hopefully making good progress on is your essays. And I want to take a moment here to talk about your essay format, right? As in the way it should look and the way it should be shaped when you hand the thing in, right? Because MLA is very particular about the way your essay needs to look, right? So here's how it goes. So first of all, in the upper left-hand corner of the first page, list your name, your instructions name, the course, and the date. Again, be sure to use double-spaced text. So at the top right here, right, just where I have it in the video, right, I have to put my name, right, uh, and the teacher's name, which is also me. So I don't know. Maybe I'll put for the author here. I'll put the cat, right? So Dragos Meow Cat Ahmed. Or Dragos Cantaloupe Meow Cat Ahmed. Okay, so we have the author's name, then my name, and then the course and the date, right? So it's going to be ENG4U1, right? So that's your course, and the date is today's date, which is July 17th, 2019, right? All of that should be double spaced, right? So meaning you go here and you hit double, right? So that's what you're supposed to have at the beginning. You'll notice there's no requirement for a title, and indeed, essays in MLA format don't need titles, right? Titles are sort of extra. If you put a title, it's not necessary. You know, and if anything, you shouldn't put a title, right? So that is what you do first, right at the top left. Name, teacher's name, course, and the date, right? Oh, wait, it's not 2019, it's 2020. Oops. That's step one. Step two is the font size should be 12, right? So right over here in the number, you put 12, right? I've mentioned this part before. Uh, it should be double spaced, as I mentioned, right? And the way you do that is first, you can press Control and A on your computer to select all, or you could just hit, what is it, edit, how do you select all normally? Oh, I forgot how to do that. Oh, yeah, so select all, you would go here and just hit select all, right? And then you go over here and you hit 12 for your 12 font. All right. Then it's supposed to be 1 inch margins, right? So she is, or it is 1 inch margins on each side, right? So the thing to do with the margins is you just don't mess with them. Don't touch this, right? Because that's what's gonna screw it up, right? So it's the ruler up top, right? You go view and you hit ruler, right? View show ruler. It's the same thing on Microsoft Word, and that's how you can modify it. But just don't touch it. By default, it's right? 1 inch on this side, 1 inch on this side. And then your indentations are supposed to be half an inch, meaning up to here, right, in the ruler, half an inch. And you can achieve that just by pressing the tab key on your keyboard, right? So you press tab on your keyboard in order to indent your paragraphs, right? So if it looks like this, if it's indented twice, then it's done it too much, right? You hit tab twice. So just hit tab once and it will be proper. Then what else do we need? Oh, you have to number pages in the upper right with your name. So the way to do that is you go up here, right? Insert, page number, right? And then you pick the one for the top right, right over there, Bing, right? And you just type then your name, right? So your last name, right? So it'll automatically number everything, right? So yours is Ahmed 2, Ahmed 3, right? So that is the way you would do that. So you number your pages. Oh, and then your works cited is the last page. I'm not doing the works cited for the sample essay, right? But if I did do it, it would be here, right? Works cited, and then you'd have the entry. If you're wondering, well, how do I get the citation for the a story for Gravel? Well, let me give you a big hint that should make it extremely easy. Just go to Gravel, right? Click there, and you'll notice there's a link that I've put over here, right? You'll take the link, put it in your browser, and what do you know? You've got. Hopefully it won't. Hopefully none of you are big New Yorkers readers and need to subscribe. But it's got the original story. It was originally posted here on this website in the New Yorker, right? So if you have the link, then I hope you remember the EasyBib website, right? You go to EasyBib and you get the proper format there. Make sure it has the proper author, publisher, everything like that. And yeah. And the other thing to remember, just a small thing, is this is an old essay. There we go. When you put a title, it's meant to be in italics, right? Which is the slanted writing, right? So Gravel should be in italics like so. Don't underline, right? I underlined it and made a mistake. But, it's meant to be in italics, right? Just like this right here. Okay. So, before you hand in your essay, just do the checklist. Your name, my name, the course and the date in the top left of the first page, right? That should be your starting point. 12 font, double space, Times New Roman, 1-inch margins, half an inch indentation, number of pages at the upper right with your name, works cited is the last page, and titles go in italics. Do all that before you hand it in. Make sure that you've got all of that done correctly. All right. So, besides that, I had quite a few questions today in the Q&A about quoting, so I figured I better go over that again since people are still uncertain about it. So let me just quickly talk about quoting and give you guys some tools for quoting that might be useful to you. Right? So let's see. Quoting anew. So let's say I'm doing a quote in my essay, right? And I have it here. The narrator says of her early life, and then I have a colon, then I have a quotation mark. I barely remember that life. I remember some parts of it clearly, but without the links, you need to form a proper picture. All that I retain in my head of the house in town is the wallpaper that with teddy bears in my room. In this new house, which was really a trailer, my sister Caro and I had narrow cots stacked one above the other. Monroe. Right? So I've got the quote there. This is a quote. And my citation, my in-text citation is just the word Monroe. Don't put a page number, right? Because as you can see in the original publication of this story, it's just Monroe, right? So, it's not given a specific page number, right? So that is something to consider. Right, so or not considered, just something to remember. You just put Monroe bracket Monroe. That's all. Then I have here. This demonstrates that her memories of her childhood are spotty, but the memories are still there. Okay, so remember when it comes to quotations, you don't just throw quotations at me. You want to instead analyze them. Now, an inevitable question I often get is how many quotations do I need, right? And the answer to that is as many as you want. It can be anywhere between 0 and 100, right? So it's up to you. What I will say, though, is you don't want to pad your essay. Padding an essay, here, let me write this on my thing here. Padding an essay is when you quote so many times that you are just trying to fill up space. Right? And it's very obvious whenever you do that, right? So it's when you have 1,000-word essay and you're thinking, hey, what would take a bite out of those 1,000 words is if I had a 100-word quote, right? To just have a really long quote from the story that'll fill up those words. Don't do that. That's called padding your essay. It's very obvious when you do that. So never pad your essay. Now, what you do want to do is make sure your quotes make sense and all of that. So what I am going to give you to do that is 2 tools. So first of all, we've got the tool of ... So let's say we've got this quote, and you'll notice this quote is pretty long, right? And we don't want super long quotes. So let's say I wanted to cut it down, right? And I decide I only want to keep the beginning and the end. So what I can do is I just put ... in this little space, right, where I cut things out, right, and I can cut as much of the story or much of the quotation as I want out of the quote, right? So if you're in that situation where you're like, I only want the beginning and the end, right, you can just use ... right, and that is a nice thing to be able to do. But let's say also that I want to change the quote a little bit, make it fit into my essay a little bit more, right? So I might want to have it, instead of saying the narrator says of her early life, I might want to say something like this, right? As the narrator described, comma, and then I'm going to put she barely remembers, right? I got to put the S there. That life in this new house, which was really a trailer, her sister and her had narrow cuts stacked one above the other, right? So in that case, what I'm doing is I'm changing I to she, right? Or her, right? And my into her. So what I do when I make those kinds of small changes is I use what's called square brackets, right? These are brackets that are not used for anything else in the English language, right? They're only used for this one particular purpose, right? Which is to change quotations, right? So you use those rectangular brackets, not the normal ones, the rectangular ones, the square brackets, in order to change words as you see fit throughout your quotation. Now, you should never, ever, ever change the meaning, right? So, don't change the meaning of any of the quotations that you're quoting, right? So, if I were to do something like which was really, instead of which was really a trailer, I wanted to put which was really a great big house, right? If I decided to do that, that would be completely and awfully wrong to the point of it being fraud. So don't do that ever. You don't change the meaning in a quote, right? You put square brackets, and that's about it. You put square brackets when you want to change the meaning. Same thing with ... You should never change the meaning using that either. So those are two things you can do when it comes to modifying your essays, and it's a good two things to have in your toolbox. All right. The other thing I'd like to quickly say is regarding spell check and grammar check is to not trust it, right? You should always run a basic spell check, right? I do that for all of my documents. I'm not saying turn spell check off, right? But you always want to be careful about, what you allow it to change, and also about what it will not catch, right? Specifically, spell check, it gets better and better as years go by, right? But it's particularly bad with nouns, right? Like over here, I've got gavel tells a story of a tragedy that could have been prevented, right? So you'll notice that word gavel is not underlined in red, right? Spell check doesn't think that's a problem. And the reason for that is because there is indeed an English word, gravel, right? Same thing here where we see Nell is a terrible human being that should be sent to jail. Well, guess what? Nell is also a name, right? So spell check's not going to catch that. So you want to be very careful with that. I will say it once and I will say it again. There is no substitute for human eyes. And don't think just because grammar check or spelling check says something is wrong, it means that you have to change it. You are in control of your document, not the computer. You don't let the computer bully you. Okay, so the essay is due tonight at midnight. So I hope you can all get that done. So that is due, literally this evening. And I should start pointing you guys to the next thing, which is Othello, right? Because Othello is what's going to be coming to us next week. So right now, there's a copy of Othello on the website, right under number 4, right there, just a copy of Othello. It's in PDF. Take a look at it. You might want to start reading it over the weekend, right? If you have some time, we'll be diving into this next week, and you should know we are going to finish Othello within the space of a week, right? So just so you're aware of that. Now, the thing is with this PDF is it's got a lot of other stuff in it, right? Essays and commentary on Shakespeare. The actual play starts on page, what is this, 27 of the document there. I know it says it's 301 pages, by the way, but most of that is just spent, you know, on commentary and everything like that. The play itself is not that long of a read. Now, when it comes to Othello, right, and I'm going to talk more about this next week, I think the biggest favor you can do for yourself is finding a way to watch the film. So it might be a good idea to try to find one. So, in my opinion, the best version of Othello would probably be the 1995 version with Lawrence Fishburne. Now, if we were in class together, I would show it to you, right? I would show it on the screen and be like, all right, guys, let's watch it. But unfortunately, we're not, right? And it's not officially available for free, although I think that on the discussion forums, there have been some posts where people have tried to link to Othello. So it is possible to get it online, but whether it's going to be legal or not, perhaps, I don't know. That being said, there are other versions of Othello that you can find. On YouTube, you'll find some basic productions, right? I can't vouch for the quality of any of them, but you can find sort of the basic productions on YouTube, right? And you can also try, if you have Amazon Prime, right? There's a version of Othello on Amazon Prime. I've been meaning to watch it. I keep saying that. I never seem to find time. I guess I'm too busy. But there is a version on Amazon Prime too, right? If you can watch any version of Othello, it will help you immensely. Because I'll be talking a lot about Shakespeare next week, but the key thing with Shakespeare is that he, as a person, never intended for anyone to read his work, right? Shakespeare was not a novelist, he was a playwright. He expected actors to read his work and then perform it, right? So the way you're supposed to experience Shakespeare is through performance, right? It's not supposed to be something you just sit down and you read it one page at a time, right? You're supposed to see it. You're supposed to see actors. You're supposed to see all of the things that are happening. So I'll be talking a lot more about Shakespeare starting on Monday, and we're going to be going zip, zip, zip through Shakespeare, right? Because next week is we've got a week and a half left, so Othello is going to be going by real, real fast, right? And I would say the biggest favor you could do for yourself over the weekend is find a copy of Othello, whether it just Google it online, look for something. Unfortunately, I can't just give you it, right? It's not that hard to find, though, if you know how to use Google. And you can ask, other classmates for assistance with that if you so require. But make that happen, right? Try to watch Othello, and then reading the play will be enormously easier. So, with that in mind, I think we can leave it there. So, I will be available at 2 o'clock, ready to answer your questions about your essays. I'm sure I will have a lot at that time. And of course, also, if you want to ask me any questions through email, you can do that as well. I've been getting emails as well, gotten some good outlines, so feel free to send me emails as well. So until then, from me and the cats, here, let me get a cat. From me and Uranos here, I'll wish you good luck on the essay, and we'll see you next time.